Notice, merely because you refuse to believe, do not understand, or are incapable of accepting as fact what is presented here, does not make it untrue. For every minute you suspend or deny belief in the facts and do nothing to stop these criminals, thousands more innocents will suffer and die, while you wallow in the mire of your denial, being entertained by videos that should motivate you to unfettered outrage.
Coming on the air with breaking news, because as you can see, we're about to hear from police in Nashville after that deadly shooting at a Christian private school in Nashville.
Thank you, Don.
Let's listen in as we are learning the names of the victims.
I want to express our grief and our city's grief on this unexpected day, this worst day. But let us love each other and support each other and hug each other. And pray for each other, and pray for our families. But also let us praise our first responders. 14 minutes, I believe under fire, running to gunfire. And then I want to thank the seamless response for federal and state authorities from our police and fire department. So this morning I was in Boston to see my own son's sporting event, and now I am overwhelmed at the thought of the loss of these families, of the future lost by these children and their families. And the leading cause of kids' death now is guns and gunfire, and that is unacceptable. But I want to thank the fast response of our officers. Guns are quick. They don't give you much time. So even in a remarkably fast response, there was not enough time. And those guns stole precious lives from us today in Nashville. And in this dark hour, let us support each other. Let us go and hug our children a little bit closer tonight. And thank you all for being here, and I want to ask Chief Drake to come and give us an update.
Thank you, Mayor Cooper. Again, thank you all for being here. Just an update from today's press conference. We've identified the shooter as Audrey Hale, a 28-year-old female that lived in the Nashville area. We have investigations ongoing now at the residence on Brightwood Avenue. And we have made contact with the father that lived at that residence and are putting together more information. We've also determined there were maps drawn of the school in detail of surveillance, entry points, etc. We know and believe that entry was gained through shooting through one of the doors is how they actually got into the school. I want to take the time to at least say, and I won't say the victims' names, I'll let Don say that, but out of the 6 victims, 3 adults, 3 of those were children. 2 of them were age 9, 1 was 8, about to be 9. All the families have been contacted. The victims' families have been contacted as well. My thoughts and prayers go out to the family. When we send our kids to school or to any place of safety, we expect them to live, learn, have fun, and come back from that day's experience. We don't anticipate things like this. And I want to say thank you to our partners, to Chief Swan, to Glenn Funk, to our mayor for his support, to our federal partners. But also I want to say thank you to our first responders who got there and immediately went in and addressed the threat of someone that had multiple rounds of ammunition, prepared for a confrontation with law enforcement, prepared to do more harm than was actually done, and we were able to stop the threat, and unfortunately 6 victims. So my thoughts and prayers again, but the praise go to the men and women. As I've said before, we will not wait. I was hoping this day would never ever come here in this city, but we would never wait to make entry and to go in and to stop a threat, especially when it deals with our children. So thank you. They're not. Just me. They're not saying anything.
I'm going to go over the victims' names with you now. The 3 9-year-olds who were killed: Evelyn Dickhouse, William Kenny, Hallie Scruggs. 3 adults: Mike Hill, a custodian, age 61, Cynthia Peak, to my understanding a substitute teacher, age 61, and Catherine Kuntz, age 60. As Chief Drake said, we have identified the active shooter as Audrey Elizabeth Hale, age 28. We'll take just a few questions if you have any.
Don, do you believe that she was a former student at the school?
Yes, we do. Chief, you want to address that?
Yes, from our investigations tell us that she was a former student at the school. I don't know what grade she's attended or grades, but we do firmly believe she was a student there.
Did she identify as transgender?
She does identify as transgender, yes.
Is there any reason to believe the shooter first went to the church before going to the school?
I can't give you that information. Unsure. We know that the minute the calls came in, we responded to the church, so to the school.
To the school.
Yeah.
You had was there 2 officers that went in when they first got there? Do you know how many there was when they first entered the building?
So it was 5 officers that immediately went in and addressed. We have video that we're going to release, but you can see in the video, you can hear gunfire going on as they're in the school. They address the threat and take that threat down.
And Chief, what do we know about her weapons?
So we know there were 2 AR-style weapons, one a rifle, another was an AR-style pistol, and the other was a handgun. We believe 2 of those may have been obtained legally, locally here.
Can you confirm that one of the adult victims, Catherine Cooks, was head of the school?
Was what?
Was head of the school?
There was some, I don't know her exact capacity within the school, but it was higher up in the echelon.
And were any of the children victims related to any of the school staff?
Unsure. I believe one may have been, but I can't confirm that.
Did the shooter have any criminal history at all?
No history at all.
And no motive at this point? Anything discovered in the apartment or house?
No, we have a manifesto. We have some writings that we're going over that pertain to this day, the actual incident. We have a map drawn out of how this was all going to take place. There's right now a theory of that we may be able to talk about later, but it's not confirmed, and so we'll put that out as soon as we can.
And Chief, is there any reason to believe that how she identifies with white?
I'm sorry, I knocked someone's mic over. I didn't hear you. Say that again, sir.
Is there any reason to believe that how she identifies has any motive for targeting the school?
We can give you that at a later time. There is some theory to that. We're investigating all the leads, and once we know exactly, we'll let you know.
So was this a targeted attack?
It was.
Do we know about a history of mental man or woman?
Don't know any history of mental illness at this time, but we are looking at that as the investigation is ongoing. And I'm sorry.
She identifies as a transgender man or woman?
Woman.
Was this the only school that was targeted?
It was the only school that was targeted. There was another location that was mentioned, but because of a threat assessment by the suspect, too much security, they decided not to. And that area was here in Nashville, so we're continuing with that investigation as well. Right now, we believe it's a lone assailant, and we don't anticipate any further damage at this time, but we're still investigating.
This Brightwood address, she lived there with her parents? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you.
So the scene is going to be processed throughout the night, probably into tomorrow. This is an extensive scene. As you know, she entered the building, which is one structure. The church and the school are in one building. She entered on the lower floor. There were shots fired on the lower floor before she went to the upper level, and it was on the upper level where she was confronted by police and killed. So understand the scene processing will take place over at least 2 days, today and tomorrow. And we'll have more details for you, including the release of video, perhaps tonight, but if not tonight, certainly tomorrow. Thank you.
And some chilling details we are just learning from the chief of police there in Nashville, John Drake, saying this was in fact a targeted attack by a former student, a 28-year-old named Audrey Hale, who is transgender. She lived with her parents. This was premeditated, according to the chief, that they found inside that home some maps of the school, surveillance, some writings in his words. The chief also saying there was a map of how this was going to take place. They have a theory on the motive, but he said it's not confirmed at this point. The suspect, Audrey Hale, no criminal history, according to the chief. And he once again said something that he said earlier today in terms of the weapons. 2 assault-style weapons and a pistol. The chief saying he had thought that perhaps 2 of those weapons were obtained legally. Let's bring in our Justice correspondent, Jeff Pegues. And already we're learning a lot, but number one, law enforcement acted very quickly.
Yeah, they sure did. It took about 14 minutes from the time that the call came in for them to neutralize the suspect. And so what that says is they didn't hesitate. And that's the way you're supposed to attack these kinds of situations. The first officers on scene are taught to go in, to head for the gunfire. And it sounds like, at least at this time, that's what they did. I also want to underline something else that's important, or that they said. They talk about the maps, the details that were found at this home that they're searching. They talked about what could end up leading to a motive in this case, where they said that this suspect chose that school after looking at another potential target and seeing that that target had too much security. So apparently, according to investigators, this suspect chose the target with the least amount of security, happened to be the school that she went to.
This is a private Christian school called The Covenant. We are learning there were 3 9-year-olds who died today, as well as 3 adults who worked at the school, including a custodian, 1 substitute teacher, and what appears to be the current head of the school there. We don't know a motive at this point. One thing we do know, and Jeff, because you and I have covered this, is the frequency and prevalence of school shootings and now gun violence, the leading cause of death among America's children.
Yeah, for some reason, these kinds of shootings have really ticked up in the last year. You'll recall, and I certainly do, during the pandemic, we weren't covering a lot of school shootings. Why? Because the schools were closed down. And then once things began to get back to normal, well, then you had school shootings once again. And now there seems to be this pace to them. And that's what we're seeing, more of a frequency of these kinds of shootings, and sadly targeting the most vulnerable in our communities.
Now even the children younger and younger, as we have seen with Uvalde and now here today at the Covenant School in Nashville. On this very subject, I want to bring in retired FBI Special Agent Katherine Schweitz. She was tapped by the FBI to create their active shooter program in the wake of Sandy Hook. Katherine, you just heard from the police chief. What stood out to you?
Couple of things, I'm pleased, which sounds sad to say at a day like this, but I'm pleased to hear the first responders, the comfort and the skills that they have to take that chaos and turn it into calm. That's so important for a community. Nashville is just like every other community. It needs to have, calm come to the scene, and they're going to do that. They know how to respond to deal with the families, the victims, the search areas, but also the fact that, as Jeff was just mentioning, the precursor, the pre-events that were done. It's not unusual. It's very common for shooters to scope out scenes. We saw the Pulse nightclub shooter do that. We've seen tons of shooters who do that surveillance ahead of time. They run their routes ahead of time to see whether or not they can get into a door. And so that was something else that I thought was particularly interesting, because we're going to clearly get, and the chief was very vocal about the kinds of facts and details that we're going to get. They'll be providing us with a tremendous amount of information that will really help us to find a way to stop the next shooter.
What was your sense when people asked about the motive?
Yeah, motive is a little bit of a, motives can be a lot of things, and a motive doesn't really tell us whether somebody's going to do something. A lot of individuals who do these kinds of shootings, and I will say with school shootings, school shooters in general, 2 out of 3 of them are in their teens or in their 20s. So this person was right on the mark with what we would see. They also all shoot in their neighborhoods for the most part. Very few of them travel. So it's not surprising that a shooter would go beyond their neighborhood or beyond the areas that they're familiar with to do that. But the one thing that I think is kind of interesting about the shooter and the length of time and the information that we're going to get is, it's clear that right away law enforcement has gathered video, written images, have cooperative parents who are allowing them to search the home right away without worrying about, getting a search warrant maybe, although I don't know if that's true, but it looks like they've got a voluntary search, which is great. It'll help us to really build a picture of what caused this person to be so troubled and strike out in this way, because that's really what we have here, is somebody who just was very troubled and found they couldn't deal with the grievances they had, whether they were real or perceived, and they had to strike out, and sadly took all these lives for no reason.
Former FBI Special Agent Catherine Schweit, thank you for joining us. Jeff Pegues as well. Today, a family's worst nightmare coming true as they are learning their loved ones killed at a private Christian school in Nashville, Tennessee. You see here the pictures of hundreds of school children being loaded onto 5 school buses to be taken to a family reunification center, where our local affiliate and reporters there say that when the school buses arrived at the family unification center, you can only imagine the reaction by parents. The children on the buses were singing. So a terrible, awful day here in America. A reminder to law enforcement, as soon as they got the call, acting very quickly, perhaps saving lives within 14 minutes, neutralizing the suspect there. Also, another reminder about what is now the leading cause of death among children in America. Years ago, it was car accidents. Well, today it is gun violence.
Hi, everybody. This is Linda with WGON News and Commentary. This is Audrey Hale. This is from her LinkedIn page, where she indicates that her pronouns are he, him. I noticed that on Fox today at 5 o'clock, Brett said that she is a transgender who prefers to be called a woman. Well, no, she's a woman who prefers to be called a man, he, him. Why would a male transgender want to be called a male, right? Okay. Now, here she is. She was very gifted graphic artist. Her artwork is wonderful. This is a sad thing that she had to go crazy and do this to children, but you see here she's dressed as a man, and you can tell by looking at her face that it's a female. Then we got over here again. NBC has confirmed the shooter is Audrey Hale, 28, from Nashville. All social media has been scrubbed except LinkedIn, where she claims to be a he, him. It is believed that the reason they took so long to identify her, and I told you in one of my earlier reports that the shooter of the Christian school in Green Hills, Tennessee, which is part of Nashville, that we aren't getting to know much about her, the person, and I thought it was kind of strange, but I said, eventually they'll tell us. And then I said, they know more than what they're telling us. And I based that off of what they said in one of their press conferences. Well, sure enough, they knew. And then I told y'all that one of the Nashville news stations gave her address. And I said her house was beautiful and that she wasn't hurting financially from the looks of the house. And so they knew who she was in order to go to her house. So it looks like, as some are speculating, that the reason they took so long to identify her publicly was so that they could scrub her social media accounts. How they missed LinkedIn, I don't know. But this is one of the protected what species I'm going to call it. Because let's face it, these people don't know what they are. These transgender people, they have mental problems. And, you know, we need to be more considerate of their health issues. They're mentally ill. And we would never make fun of an autistic child or anything like that. Why are we making fun of transgenders? Because they are being pushed down our throats, and they are being totally protected because they are the cash cow of big pharma and the medical profession. These people literally kill themselves more than anything else because these treatments that they go through is very painful, makes them sick, makes their life totally miserable, and they have to stay on it the rest of their life. They can't stand the idea of being that sick for the rest of their life. Then there are some who, once they went through puberty, they came to realize, wait a minute, what was I thinking? I am a boy or a girl, whichever, and I don't want to be what I am now, because they outgrew the stupidity that kids go through before puberty. So I feel bad for her and all of her transgender friends and compadres, because they are mentally ill. And I know that if I said this on YouTube, I would be kicked off. But the truth is that anybody who thinks that they are the opposite of what they were born as, or something like an animal or whatever they think nowadays, that is pure mental illness. So I feel bad that she went to the point that she got to, where she felt she had to kill children and other adults. This is sad all the way around, really. And so all I can say is we're at a time where we don't know what to do anymore. We don't know how to think anymore. We want to show them mercy, but when they are being crammed down our throat, all we want to do is spit it up. So it's just a hard thing to do. I say to you, don't purposely hurt anybody's feelings, whoever they are. It doesn't matter who they are. We're supposed to love everybody. We can pray for these people to get a sound mind, but it's really hard, and I'm guilty as much as anybody else. This is a talented woman, very talented, and she threw it all away. Why? We don't know. Maybe Jamie was right. We don't know, though. So there you have it. I just wanted to give you her picture. All right, bye.
Warning, F-bombs are dropped, armed, and will be dropped, because we all know I don't give a fuck anymore. There was a mass shooting today. Last report, 3 adults and 3 children are dead at a school, by the way. 3 adults and 3 children are dead. The shooter is dead. Well, I really don't give a fuck about her problems. She brought them on herself. At the end of discussion there. Once upon a time, we used to call that officer-assisted suicide. There's a bunch of accusations, allegations, speculations that are going on. I cannot verify and I will not entertain. First of all, I can't verify. Second of all, they're irrelevant. What is relevant? Bitch got in the school. She started shooting people. And that's it. That's the only things that matter. The school in question is a private Christian school, Presbyterian. Did a little bit of checking. Presbyterians are not pacifists. So that excuse went right out the window. I did not check if Tennessee law prevents guns in schools, but it doesn't matter because federal law prevents guns in schools. First person she shot was a staff member. She shot her way into the building. This part I'm willing to, this little bit of unverified information I'm willing to go with. She shot her way into the building, shot out some glass, supposedly in a door on a side door, which is a believable enough scenario. And yeah, and that's how it continued to go. I'd like to ask you, gun control supporters, how's that whole gun-free zone, gun-free schools law going now? Got 6 more bodies. If I were you, I'd be counting 6 more victories, because that's exactly the way you people think. It is time to end this law. It should have been time after Columbine. We should have gotten the message back then. I don't know what it's going to take for you to finally accept the fact that you were wrong. We were wrong. We were never right. And it's been a total and complete failure. The difference between you and me is I accepted that fact. 2 + 2 did not equal 5. Will never equal 5. I accepted that. Why are you lying? Because I want to hear an answer. Any answer will do. A little bit of digging has revealed to me that apparently she chose the door she chose because it was not a guarded location. She thought she'd get a lot further and a lot faster by not coming through the main door. Oh, you mean the main door where the metal detectors would have been? Yeah, that main door. It gets worse. It didn't take a whole hell of a lot of digging to find out that she's a prohibited person already. Where have we heard that one before? But you're going to continue to tell us that gun-free zones, gun-free schools law worked. You're going to continue to tell us that gun control laws work. Obviously, they're not working. Maybe it's time to check yourselves and accept the fact that we were wrong. Right? I did that coming up on, 2.5 decades ago. What the hell is it going to take for you to pull your heads out of your asses and accept reality? I want you to tell me. Please drop it in the comments. First one through the door will get pinned, I promise. All right. For the rest of you, keep calm and mandatory carry on.
Hey, greetings to the body of the people. This man called Chris Dorsey. So there you see the 33 hoax code. There's reports of a 28-year-old quote-unquote white female that allegedly shot individuals at a quote-unquote Christian school. So again, they got all the attacks on everyone. They threw a woman in to change things up. But as you can see, what's going on, just a drill. That's all. Nothing more, nothing less. Just a drill. Shooter was 28-year-old woman. They had a black cop, get out there and tell everyone that the perpetrator was a white woman. So what are we seeing? We're hearing a bunch of stuff in the background from Bob Freeman, talking about taking away the rights of people in Tennessee to protect themselves, taking away the God-given rights of the people in Tennessee.
It's heartbreaking, a family's worst nightmare. And I want to commend the police who responded incredibly swiftly, within minutes, to end the danger. We're monitoring the situation really closely, Ben, as you know, and we have to do more to stop gun violence. It's ripping our communities apart, ripping the soul of this nation, ripping at the very soul of the nation. And we have to do more to protect our schools so they aren't turned into prisons. You know, the shooter in this situation reportedly had 2 assault weapons and a pistol, 2 AK-47. So I call on Congress again to pass my assault weapons ban. It's about time that we began to make some more progress, but there's more to learn. But I just wanted to send my concern and hearts out to so many parents out there. I've been to so many of these sites, as Ben knows, by virtually every one.
And what we always say is what is always the case. This is a hoax. This is a drill. This is a psychological operation to take away the rights of the people. I've been doing this for 20 years now, folks, calling out these government-staged drills that they try to convince people is real. It is not real. 3 children and 3 adults did not die. A 28-year-old white woman didn't start, picking folks off. This is a drill, and that's it.
Assumed it would follow the typical playbook of, that 20 to late teen male.
20 to late teen male is what he thought it was, but no. So I'm telling you, there is absolutely no way anybody was shot right there. Everybody seems super calm, lots of black guys in suits walking around. Look at all the colors of the people in the uniforms, blacks.
Charges that she may have been a student.
Okay, so now she's saying, she may have been a student. So now, here's another thing they probably will do. Something bad probably happened to this person at this school. They're going to have to take guns away, but the woman's a victim of the Christian school.
Does she have any connection to the church? From my initial findings is that at one point she was a student at that school, but unsure what year, all of that. But that's what I've been told so far.
And also she is, somebody who killed people. Okay, that nothing bad happened there. I'm telling you, nothing bad except for a drill. Okay, what was that? Now let's pan on something else. They didn't want us to see that.
I'm not sure if you obviously have your hands full at the moment.
Okay, so there is the wide angle. All right, so this is fake. Hey, we'll cover this story a lot more. This is only the beginning. We got the main things. We got Freeman. We got the 33 code. And we got a white perpetrator. So what are these chumps doing? Isn't it already over? Didn't they say she was already dead? Why do they need to continue the drill? Well, they just do, because it's fake, and this is going to be on TV for a long time now. Fake, fake, fake. We warned you first. As always, fake, fake, fake. The government's criminal. All government officials are guilty of treason. All government officials are officials of a federally chartered corporation. They're all guilty of treason and must be punished to the fullest extent of the law. The people of God are the number one authority on planet Earth. Praise God. Peace and God bless.